This is Story Recapped. Today, I'm going to explain a horror, sci-fi film called Humanoids from the Deep. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In the fishing town of Noyo, California, Jim Hill and his brother Tommy go to the dock to find out that it's a good day to catch salmon. As they chat with the other fisherman, Johnny Eagle arrives in a small boat. When Jim asks Johnny if he's going out fishing, Johnny points out that he won't catch enough fish to pay for his gas. Then, Johnny expresses his concern that the fish would disappear from the sea in 2 years if they let the company called Canco build a salmon cannery in the town. Hank Slattery argues that the cannery will bring progress to the town. Before heading out to the sea, Hank warns Johnny that he won't allow him to stand in the way of progress. Later, Deke and Harry cast their net into the sea and soon feel something tugging on it. They use the motor to pull the net back into the boat, but the engine runs out of gas. Deke's son, Jackie, fills the motor with fuel while they pull the net by hand. However, Deke soon realizes that the net could break from the weight, so they ask Jackie for help. As the boy rushes over to assist them, he drops the gasoline can, causing it to spill on the boat, but none of them notice. While tugging on the net, Jackie falls into the water when the boat rocks back and forth. Deke tries to rescue him, but a creature caught in the net pulls the boy down and attacks him. Not long after, Deke sees blood mixing with the water. He tries to go after the boy, but Harry stops him and says that there's nothing that they can do. Smitty tries firing a flare to call for help, but he slips and accidentally ignites the spilled gasoline. Jim and Tommy see the boat exploding from a distance, so they immediately contact the Coast Guard. That night, the sheriff expresses his concern to Jim that Deke's boat was blown up intentionally to scare off Canco from building the cannery. Jim argues that it's unlikely because oil was leaking from the boat, and Deke appeared to be afraid of something in the water before the explosion. Suddenly, Jim's dog starts growling, so Jim lets it go outside. When the dog wanders into the woods, a monstrous creature leaps out of a tree and viciously attacks the dog. In the morning, Jim's wife Carol looks for the dog to feed it, but it's nowhere to be found. As Jim and Carol search for their dog, they find a trail of slimy substance. They follow the trail to the beach, where they soon find their dead dog, mangled beyond recognition. On the dock, other fishermen also find several dead dogs. Hank gets suspicious when he sees that Johnny's dog is the only one remaining alive. Later that evening, Jim and Carol attend a party to launch the town's 75th annual Salmon Festival. During the celebrations, Charles Borden, the president of Canco Incorporated, promises the town that their cannery will bring more jobs and increase the fishermen's catch. He reveals that the resident scientist, Susan Drake, has been researching to make the salmon grow bigger and multiply faster. As the townspeople enjoy the party, Johnny suddenly arrives, carrying his dead dog. He accuses Hank of killing his pet, but Hank points out that they found 7 other dead dogs at the dock the previous night. Johnny announces that he's filing a lawsuit to recover Native American lands along the river and stop Canco from building the cannery. Hank points out that Johnny isn't invited to the party, so he asks his friends to throw Johnny out. Hank and his friends start beating up Johnny outside. Johnny manages to fight back, but more of Hank's friends arrive to restrain him. Soon, Jim and Tommy come to Johnny's aid. The trio manages to get the upper hand against Hank and his goons, but the sheriff breaks up the brawl by firing warning shots into the air. The following day, Hank sneaks his way into Johnny's property in the woods and overhears his plans to sue the county for violating the Fishing Rights Treaty of Native Americans. Then, Jim and Tommy take Susan and her colleagues on a fishing trip. Meanwhile, Tommy's girlfriend, Linda, enjoys a relaxing day at the beach with her friends, Jerry and Peggy. When Jerry and Peggy decide to frolic along the beach, they fail to notice the large footprint of a strange creature. Back on Jim's boat, Charles manages to catch something with his fishing rod, but he can't reel it in because of its weight. When the fishing line snaps, Susan points her camera at the water and takes photos. Jim asks her what she was shooting, but Susan claims she wouldn't know until she develops the photos. When Jerry and Peggy go for a swim, Jerry suddenly disappears underwater and emerges to scare Peggy. Suddenly, a monstrous sea creature grabs Jerry and attacks him underwater. Peggy thinks it's another one of Jerry's pranks, but she's struck with terror when she sees Jerry's mutilated face. She runs to the shore, but a monster pulls her back into the water. Soon, the creature takes Peggy to a secluded part of the beach and forces itself on her. Later, Hank tells his friends about Johnny's plans to sue the county. He fears that Canco would no longer be interested in building the cannery if there's a lawsuit, so he suggests taking matters into their own hands to prevent Canco from backing out. When Jim returns to the dock, Johnny thanks him for helping him the previous night. He tries to talk to Jim about the cannery, but Jim notes that they'll have to disagree peacefully because he's in favor of having a cannery in town, while Johnny opposes it. Tommy clarifies that Jim doesn't like Hank and his friends, but Jim wants what's best for the town. Johnny invites Tommy and Linda to have dinner with him, noting that he caught a lot of steelhead trout the other night. At the beach, a ventriloquist and his girlfriend are about to fool around inside their tent when a monster barges in and kills the man. The woman runs away, but another creature catches her on the beach and violates her. Hank and two of his friends ride a boat on the river to go to Johnny's house to attack him. On the way to Johnny's property, Tommy and Linda get worried when they hear a motorboat behind them because Johnny's people don't usually pass through the river. Upon their arrival at Johnny's house, Johnny offers to lend his truck to Tommy because he fears that they might get attacked. However, Tommy and Linda decide to stay and eat dinner with him. As Hank and his friends approach the property, they turn off the boat's engine as they prepare to attack the house with Molotov cocktails. Johnny notices them lighting up the cocktails, so he immediately tells Tommy and Linda to take cover. After the explosion, Johnny instructs Linda to drive his truck back to town and get help. While Johnny attempts to put out the fire, Tommy fires his rifle towards Hank and his group, but a creature suddenly grabs him. Tommy fights back by hitting the monster with the butt of his gun, but the creature keeps pulling him into the water. Soon, Johnny notices him fighting with the creature, so Johnny throws a spear at it. He then shoots the monster after taking Tommy to safety. As Linda drives back to town, a monster suddenly gets on the truck and breaks the windshield to attack her. She manages to lose the monster by slamming on the brakes, but another creature grabs her from behind. Soon after, Linda loses control of the vehicle, and the truck falls off a bridge and explodes. The next morning, Hank and his friends learn that Linda is dead, while Jerry and Peggy are missing. Soon, Johnny arrives at the dock on his boat to bring Tommy to the hospital. The sheriff asks Johnny to explain while the men put Tommy on the back of a pickup truck. Not long after, Carol arrives to accompany Tommy to the hospital. When Susan asks Johnny what happened, Johnny discloses that a 7-foot-tall sea monster attacked Tommy. Later, Johnny takes Jim and Susan back to his property to find evidence of the sea creature. As Susan snaps some photos, Jim realizes that she knows something about the monsters. Susan notes that the monsters' attack pattern suggests that they're nocturnal, so they won't see them during the day unless their territory is threatened. She warns them that the creatures might move to the ocean if they don't find enough food in the river. The trio then heads to the sea, hoping to catch one of the monsters. When they fail to catch a creature, they return to the shore where they encounter one of the humanoid monsters outside a cave. Johnny and Jim shoot the monster multiple times with their rifles, while Susan takes photos. 3 more sea monsters emerge to attack them, but Jim manages to shoot them all down. Afterward, the trio finds Peggy's body covered in seaweed. After checking her vitals, they learn that she's still alive. Another humanoid appears, so Johnny kills the creature with a spear gun. As Susan examines a monster's corpse in her lab, she surmises that the creatures are in the process of becoming amphibious because they appear to be gaining the ability to breathe on land. She notes that they have large brains, but they still can't make full use of them. Susan's colleague instructs her to keep quiet about the sea monsters because Canco wants to review the evidence. Susan, however, berates him because the company has been ignoring her warnings about the creature for years. She intends to reveal what she knows about the creatures to the townspeople because she believes that they have a right to know the truth. Susan takes Johnny and Jim to the conference room to show them a film about the company's genetic experiments on fish and amphibians. The scientists were able to make frogs grow faster by injecting them with DNA -5, so they repeated their experiments on salmon. Susan then reveals that thousands of salmon treated with the experimental genes escaped from their traps during a tidal wave. She tried to notify the authorities, but Canco stopped her. Susan believes that the other fish fed on the experimental salmon and evolved rapidly into the humanoid creatures they encountered. When Johnny asks why the creatures are attacking people, Susan surmises that the monsters became intelligent enough to see humans as competitors for their food sources. She then explains that the creatures are also attacking the women to mate with female humans so they can continue evolving. Jim suddenly realizes that the big salmon festival is being held near the docks, so they immediately head there to warn the people. To convince Hank and his group, Jim and Johnny show them a decapitated head of the monster. Soon, the humanoid creatures burst out from below the docks and start attacking the people. The monsters kill all the men while attempting to get their hands on every woman they see. Jim and Susan decide to pour gasoline into the bay to set it on fire later when the monsters are in the water. Meanwhile, Carol hears about the attack from the radio, while a monster is killing the DJ. When Carol hears her baby crying, she closes all the curtains and locks the doors for fear that the creatures might break into the house. Back at the dock, a boy manages to kill one of the creatures by lighting it up with the tiki torch. He then begs Hank to help him rescue his sister, who's desperately hanging on to the dock. When Hank arrives, a monster tries to reach the girl, but Johnny shoots it dead. Susan soon fires a flare into the water to ignite the gasoline. Hank manages to reunite the girl with her brother, but a humanoid grabs his foot as he tries to avoid falling into the water. Despite his feud with Hank, Johnny shoots the monster to save him. When Johnny offers to help Hank get on the platform, he hesitantly takes his hand. The monsters in the water start burning to death, but those on land continue to attack people. A humanoid grabs Susan as she ties the boat to the dock, but Johnny shoots the monster. Jim rushes home when he finds out that his friend took Carol back to the house after spending time with Tommy at the hospital. Meanwhile, people at the dock gang up to kill the remaining humanoids on land. Soon, the monsters start breaking into Jim's house, so Carol hides the baby in the storage room before attempting to fight with the creatures. A humanoid soon breaks down the door, so Carol repeatedly stabs its hand with a knife. Carol starts running when another monster gets in through the window. As the monster catches up to her, she sprays the monster's eyes with a liquid drain cleaner and stabs it in the chest until it drops to the ground. When she hears another door rattling, she almost stabs Jim when it opens, but Jim manages to grab her hand. Upon learning that Carol is alright, Jim asks about the baby, so Carol informs him that their son is safe. At dawn, Jim and Carol go to the dock to see the damage wrought by the attack. When Jim asks the disoriented sheriff what happened to Susan, the sheriff notifies him that she is safe in her lab. Carol tells Jim to go home and let the sheriff deal with the mess at the dock. And now, in the delivery room of a hospital, Susan helps Peggy give birth to the baby she conceived after a humanoid attacked her. Susan asks Peggy to push, but the ghoulish infant bursts out of the womb through her stomach.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.